Hi friends. Welcome to Content Factory. Today I am talking about Sun. The Sun is the star at the center of the solar system. It is a nearly perfect ball of hot plasma, heated to incandescence by nuclear fusion reactions in its core. The Sun radiates this energy mainly as light, ultraviolet, and infrared radiation, and is the most important source of energy for life on Earth. The Sun's radius is about 695,000 kilometers or 432,000 miles, as 109 times that of Earth. Its mass is about 330,000 times that of Earth, comprising about 99.86% of the total mass of the solar system. Roughly 3/4 of the Sun's mass consists of hydrogen 73%, the rest is mostly helium 25%, with much smaller quantities of heavier elements, including oxygen, carbon, neon, and iron. The Sun is a G-type main sequence star. As such, it is informally, and not completely accurately, referred to as a yellow dwarf. It formed approximately 4.6 billion years ago from the gravitational collapse of matter within a region of a large molecular cloud. Most of this matter gathered in the center, whereas the rest flattened into an orbiting disk that became the solar system. The central mass became so hot and dense that it eventually initiated nuclear fusion in its core. It is thought that almost all stars form by this process. Every second, the Sun's core fuses about 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium, and in the process converts 4 million tons of matter into energy. This energy, which can take between 10,000 and 170,000 years to escape the core, is the source of the Sun's light and heat. When hydrogen fusion in its core has diminished to the point at which the Sun is no longer in hydrostatic equilibrium, its core will undergo a marked increase in density and temperature while its outer layers expand, eventually transforming the Sun into a red giant. It is calculated that the Sun will become sufficiently large to engulf the current orbits of Mercury and Venus, and render Earth uninhabitable, but not for about 5 billion years. After this, it will shed its outer layers and become a dense type of cooling star known as a white dwarf, and no longer produce energy by fusion, but still glow and give off heat from its previous fusion. The enormous effect of the Sun on Earth has been recognized since prehistoric times. The Sun was thought of by some cultures as a deity. The synodic rotation of Earth and its orbit around the Sun are the basis of some solar calendars. The predominant calendar in use today is the Gregorian calendar, which is based upon the standard 16th century interpretation of the Sun's observed movement as actual movement. Sunrise or sunup is the moment when the upper rim of the Sun appears on the horizon in the morning. The term can also refer to the entire process of the solar disk crossing the horizon and its accompanying atmospheric effects. Although the Sun appears to rise from the horizon, it is actually the Earth's motion that causes the Sun to appear. The illusion of a moving Sun results from Earth observers being in a rotating reference frame. This apparent motion caused many cultures to have mythologies and religions built around the geocentric model, which prevailed until astronomer Nicholas Copernicus formulated his heliocentric model in the 16th century. The timing of sunrise varies throughout the year and is also affected by the viewer's latitude and longitude, altitude, and time zone. These changes are driven by the axial tilt of Earth, daily rotation of the Earth, the planet's movement in its annual elliptical orbit around the Sun, and the Earth and Moon's paired revolutions around each other. The analemma can be used to make approximate predictions of the time of sunrise. In late winter and spring, sunrise as seen from temperate latitudes occurs earlier each day, reaching its earliest time near the summer solstice, although the exact date varies by latitude. After this point, the time of sunrise gets later each day, reaching its latest sometime around the winter solstice. The offset between the dates of the solstice and the earliest or latest sunrise time is caused by the eccentricity of Earth's orbit and the tilt of its axis, and is described by the anal lemma, which can be used to predict the dates. Sunset, also known as sundown, is the daily disappearance of the sun below the horizon due to Earth's rotation. As viewed from everywhere on Earth, except the north and south poles. The equinox sun sets due west at the moment of both the spring and autumn equinoxes. As viewed from the northern hemisphere, the sun sets to the northwest in the spring and summer, and to the southwest in the autumn and winter. These seasons are reversed for the southern hemisphere. The time of sunset is defined in astronomy as the moment when the upper limb of the sun disappears below the horizon. Near the horizon, atmospheric refraction causes sunlight rays to be distorted to such an extent that geometrically the solar disk is already about 1 diameter below the horizon when a sunset is observed. Sunset is distinct from twilight, which is divided into 3 stages. The first one is civil twilight, which begins once the sun has disappeared below the horizon, and continues until it descends to 6 degrees below the horizon. The second phase is nautical twilight, between 6 and 12 degrees below the horizon. The third phase is astronomical twilight, which is the period when the sun is between 12 and 18 degrees below the horizon. Dusk is at the very end of astronomical twilight, and is the darkest moment of twilight just before night. Finally, night occurs when the sun reaches 18 degrees below the horizon and no longer illuminates the sky. Locations further north than the Arctic Circle and further south than the Antarctic Circle experience no full sunset or sunrise on at least one day of the year. When the polar day or the polar night persists continuously for 24 hours. The sun is composed primarily of the chemical elements hydrogen and helium. At this time in the sun's life, they account for 74.9% and 23.8%, respectively, of the mass of the sun in the photosphere. All heavier elements, called metals in astronomy, account for less than 2% of the mass, with oxygen, carbon 0.3%, neon 0.2%, and iron 0.2% being the most abundant. During a total solar eclipse, when the disk of the sun is covered by that of the moon, parts of the sun's surrounding atmosphere can be seen. It is composed of 4 distinct parts: the chromosphere, the transition region, the corona, and the heliosphere. The sun's magnetic field leads to many effects that are collectively called solar activity. Solar flares and coronal mass ejections tend to occur at sunspot groups. Slowly changing. High-speed streams of solar wind are emitted from coronal holes at the photospheric surface. Both coronal mass ejections and high-speed streams of solar wind carry plasma and interplanetary magnetic field outward into the solar system. The effects of solar activity on Earth include auroras at moderate to high latitudes and the disruption of radio communications and electric power. Solar activity is thought to have played a large role in the formation and evolution of the solar system. Viewing the sun through light-concentrating optics such as binoculars may result in permanent damage to the retina without an appropriate filter that blocks UV and substantially dims the sunlight. When using an attenuating filter to view the sun, the viewer is cautioned to use a filter specifically designed for that use. Some improvised filters that pass UV or IR rays can actually harm the eye at high brightness levels. Brief glances at the midday sun through an unfiltered telescope can cause permanent damage. Subscribe this channel to get more informative videos.